Hello everyone, it is the Dragon Critic and I am with...
Corey's Reviews.
So we're going to talk about movies, games, and TV shows. Welcome to the Dragon Critic's live stream episode 3. The next episode will be out next week, but today at 2 p.m. there will be a Dragon Critic podcast. So, Corey's Reviews, what will we talk about from the movie?
It's really hard to say, just mainly movies in general. One thing I am interested in talking to you about is that I have actually gained some ideas for what I think maybe How to Train Your Dragon 3 could be about.
Oh, interesting. Do you think it's going to, what do you think it'll be about, Corey?
I don't think any of the ideas I came up with would be correct. These are just some ideas I have. And I'm thinking about making an entire video to it because I was considering doing a Kung Fu Panda 4 predictions video. However, I don't think I'll be able to because I can't think of anything I want to see in Kung Fu Panda 4. I did a lot of thinking about it, and I just can't think of anything. However, I came up with some great ideas for How to Train Your Dragon 3, so I might do that video. And basically what I might do to summarize is have one of the main conflicts of the film is mainly having it so since Hiccup has to take over as chief, because spoilers for How to Train Dragon 2, but Hiccup's father is killed towards the end of How to Train Your Dragon 2. So that means Hiccup now, he has to become the leader. So since Hiccup... Yeah, but Hiccup has to now be the new leader, and that's going to be very, very hard for him. And it's going to be extremely stressful. And so he doesn't know how to cope with this massive village that are basically up his back. Another idea I had was maybe some sort of a new enemy, maybe some sort of enemy dragon controlled by some sort of villain. I haven't exactly worked out what the villain was going to be like yet, but I sort of came up with some ideas for maybe a new, unique looking kind of dragon. And I feel like that one thing that I think that could really help How to Train Dragon 3 be probably the most emotional movie in the trilogy is if Hiccup and Toothless and Astrid and all those other characters see something they never thought they'd ever see in their lives. Another Night Fury. And it seems to be, they maybe first find it because it's been captured / carried away by these villain dragons I mentioned to you earlier. And once they rescue the second Night Fury, they realize that it's slightly bigger than Toothless, and they seem connected in some way. And I don't think I have to say anything else. I think you already get the connection of what it is.
Well, I have heard rumors about being another Night Fury. I hope so, because I mean, if Kung Fu Panda 3 had a village of pandas, then How to Train Your Dragon 3 has to have a village of Night Fury.
Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed, but when I was talking about this new Night Fury, and like Toothless has this massive connection, which I feel like can be a very subtle way of telling us that Toothless has officially found his mother, basically. And what I think could be a very emotionally powerful scene is maybe to right before the climax, towards early in the third act, maybe Toothless's mother wants to take Toothless far away from danger, but Hiccup wants to face the enemies, and so there's division, and it causes a massive dilemma. So it'd be a very emotional scene because Toothless is like, what do I do? Do I follow Hiccup or my long lost mother? Which I think would be a very emotional scene.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Alright, whatever. We'll talk a bit about, Skylanders 6. I do remember that we got a, Skylanders 6 leak on YouTube by a YouTuber called Fired Fiesta. And on that leak, we get to see that there is no new characters joining this game. It's gonna feature like just reposes like Series 4 Spyro, a Series 3 Sonic Boom, and a Series 2 Sunburn. The thing that really interests me is that is this game gonna be a new? Is this game gonna end the series, or is it gonna be a repose game? Because I think the series, it's great for the series to see that, like Disney Infinity 3.0 is the last game in the Disney Infinity trilogy. Cool. They'll be adding more and more figures to Disney Infinity 3.0. Well, that
I
could do that.
I d-
Like for the
I
characters.
don't really have much to say on the subject because I've never really played Skylanders ever.
Oh. Well, I mean, like, I am really excited for Skylanders 6, because I did think it should have been cancelled. The way how Superchargers ends and the way the story feels is kind of like it's ending off a great series. I think this will be the last game in the series, and then maybe they can start going for like a spin-off, like a Stealth game, a preschool game, because you can really do anything with these characters. Like, look at this character. Hang on now. Like, for example,
And speak
Slam Bam. Slam Bam. Series 2 Slam Bam. You don't really know much about his past, but if you get the trait, the card game thing, they will tell you about his backstory. But we probably want to know like more about Slam Bam, what's the past. Here he is. What do you think before we review the Slam Bam figure?
again, it's really hard for me to make a proper judgment because since I haven't played the Skylanders games, I know almost nothing about them. All I know is that it's basically a older version of Disney Infinity where you put in a little figures onto a special pod, and you basically get to play as that character in the actual game, and that's literally all I know about it. But speaking of needing to be final installments in movie series, I am for one am honestly rather sick of the fact that we are getting endless sequels nowadays, and I have a feeling I'm not the only one who thinks that because everything is getting a sequel.
Unnecessary sequels like Home Alone 6, Toy Story 4, Madagascar 4, Puss in Boots 2, a possibility Shrek 5, Happy Feet 3, Stuff 3, and
And then it
Incredibles 2, and Ultimate Season 2. It's like Hollywood. Make Rise of the Guardians 2. Make Spider-Man 4.
The funny thing is, I think it's funny that all the movies that we think, yeah, that was okay, and yet all those okay movies are the ones that are getting all the sequels. And then when we finally find a movie that we want a sequel to, they basically go, okay, we don't get it, we won't make a sequel then. Even though, so they decide not to make the sequels for the movies that we ask for sequels. And yet when we get movies we don't ask for sequels, then they make endless sequels. And in my honest opinion, I can only
I
think of.
agree with you on Madagascar. They should have ended it with 2. But 2 kind of like
I
felt
agree
like.
because I
And
honestly agree because I think Madagascar
Madagascar
3
4
sucked.
completely. Wait, what?
I do agree with you because I think that Madagascar 3 sucked. I did not like Madagascar 3.
Why? I respect your opinion. But why did you not like it? I'm not being rude or
It's
anything.
really hard to say. For starters, the story is really just rather pathetic in my opinion. It's really just about the main characters who lie about who they are just to get into the circus, and I just am not really a fan of the story. The humor, I don't remember any funny jokes. I only can think of one, and I
Well, I actually like.
really enjoyed the second
I
movie.
do think Madagascar 3 was better than the first two. Well, I kind of like 2 a bit better for more drama because 3, if you Animat does this what's in the box series where you can send letters to him, and I remember asking him, "Are you excited for Madagascar 4?" And he goes, "Honestly, no, because the way the third one ended is a perfect conclusion to the Madagascar film, and it so good.
I would have. Another thing that really does bother me though is sort of Alex united with his father at the end of the second movie. Why would you just go on ditching, continuing to find the zoo or whatever? I think that I would have been perfectly happy if they stopped at 2 because I really enjoyed 2, but
Yeah, same
3
here.
was awful.
2 is kind of the best. Well, like, alright, I will agree with those problems. 2 does have a few problems. But, I think a lot of people are getting fed up of just the same story of, oh yeah, we have to get back to New York, you know. But, no, you don't do that. If Africa is their home, just make a sequel about how they're getting on with Africa. Or you could have just ended everything. We're kind of fed up of getting it. Oh yeah, we have to go back to New York. No. And I hear that Madagascar
The
is going to
interesting thing is,
New York. Like, why do we need this?
yeah, the thing I find really interesting is that at the top of my head, I can only think of one movie series that has a whole bunch of sequels and they get better as the films go on, and that is the Mission Impossible movies. But even then, I think that's because each movie has their own directors. So each movie has a different director. And so each one feels different. And then each one, as each movie is released, they get more reviews. And so the directors of the newer ones are able to pay more attention to what did well and what didn't do well for the last few. And since it's a new director, they feel fresh and they know what to sort of do to make it better. Because the best Mission Impossible movies are the last two, the two most recent ones, Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation. However, apart from that, I think the best movies in these long-running franchises are usually the first one. Back to the Future, a lot of people say the first one is the best. The Terminator movies, Terminator 2 is my favorite.
Kind of movies where every film just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I at the moment, if you asked me to rank the Kung Fu Panda movies, I really wouldn't know what to say. I think that maybe 3 might be the best in the trilogy. However, I feel like they're like the first and second one around the same.
Well, they are similar to each other. Like I said in the story, I had a flaw that there are some moments that are like in the first 2. Also, have you heard about Folks Life 2? They're making a second one.
A possibility of a food fight too.
No, Folks Life 2.
Oh wow, that's a funny joke. That is just too funny. There's no way that would be true or anything. That was just a very funny joke.
Yeah, have you heard about Folks Life 2 though? They're making.
No, I haven't. No, and one thing that really upsets me, I haven't seen Food Fight, but I've seen reviews of it. And one thing that really I find rather quite depressing is the quality of the movie. And I watched the footage and I learned about the cast and everything, and I asked myself the question: what on earth is Christopher Lloyd doing in this movie? Dr. Great Scott Emmett Brown from the Back to the Future movies himself is in Food Fight.
Whoa.
Why?
Here, have you remember when I used to like the little panda fighter, but now I don't like it anymore.
I haven't seen that either, but the animation in that movie is atrocious. I can the problem, I think the mistake about making those two movies is that people say they are dreadful movies and it's really distracting just simply because of how bad the animation is, and it's just simply because they're not fully rendered. They like they're in stuck in their beta, like um all the modern animated movies like Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, all their animation is really good because once they finish doing all their bit of animation bits, they spend a lot of time and money to render them. So when the when the animation's pre-rendered, it looks good. It's given this bit of a polish. However, moves like Food Fight and the Little Panda Fighter lack that
Yeah,
rendered. Like they're not rendered properly, and that's where the big problem goes.
the little panda part is just trying to be something kind of, except horrible animation, stupid characters, and a story that makes no sense.
Yeah, I kind of forget what the story is because I've only seen like reviews of the thing, but I can tell it's not good. But
I
one thing
believe
I
wrap up this episode, guys. But that was Corey's reviews in Dragon Critic live stream episode 3. So we'll see you guys next time. So say bye.
hasta la vista, baby.